right, so we are back. This is week three, episode four, um, Two Kings Challenge. It's been an interesting week. I think we have had probably our most engaged week that we've had since doing this challenge, but it has kind of been in a radical different direction. We touched on this a little bit last week, but I think probably worthwhile this week to just dedicate an episode to it, which is TikTok. As crazy as that sounds, has consumed, I know, both of our lives this week. We have been adding a lot of content. We've been spending a lot of time learning, kind of the baby steps to this editing process there. And then on top of it, the probably 10 hours a day spent checking and rechecking to see what kind of views are on what videos. So here with Brian King again. I'm Frank McFarland. Tell me about it. What's this week been like for you?
Well, it has been a crazy week. I've had a chance to do a lot of different things. I have spent a lot of my time working on that recruiting that we talked about last week, with mixed results. I mean, I really went out to try to grab some recruiting. I was able to do the recruiting part of it. It's just very difficult to make somebody make a decision, and I think that that's going to be an ongoing issue, and probably a really good context for another talk somewhere down the road. But yes, I was skeptical until I saw your TikTok take off. TikTok is something that I've watched my kids do for years. Since an early beginning, actually switching over from YouTube and Vine and some of the other things that they would do. And I really had no idea until you started tapping into it, what kind of market that it has. That it really is how the question is not, is it TikTok or not? The question is, how do the clients that we want to reach, and the target people that we want to reach, the referral sources, the other attorneys and those things, how do they consume content? And the answer is TikTok is so easy of a way to obtain content in a very short way. I mean, I think that right now our society is kind of on two different ends. You've got the podcast and Netflix bingers, and these are sometimes the same people, but they consume content in just incredible volume. They just want to see the whole season at one time. They want to see something that just wows them from the couch. Intermixed with that is how do I just grab very quick content? And TikTok does that. So talk a little bit about your experience, because it's really been kind of a crazy journey in the last week.
Yeah, it's hard to really believe that it's only been a week or a week and a day. I think, since I made those first posts, we had to check back to the last video to see exactly, or look at the TikTok. But I did a little bit of preliminary research on that. One of the biggest things that it says when you're looking into TikTok is, to really have any consistent following, you have to be consistent with your post. So I kind of made this dedicated effort to do 2 a day. My initial plan was to do 2 a day through the week. But, I was having such a good time with it and had these ideas flowing. I think I ended up doing more on the weekend. I'm not sure how that played out, but I think I'm at 18 or 19 videos now. One of the things that's amazing to me is if I look back on my first videos now, they're already cringy to me. It's like there's such an evolution to it. And, I wasn't sure. Look, I think this is a thing that TikTok does. I'm not real sure. I don't think anybody has great answers on how that works. But my first couple videos were very simplistic, very me talking about a specific legal issue, kind of more like what we would do in a blog, pretty generic, and did okay. We talked about that last week, 600, 700 views, and I was excited by it. And it kind of got me fired up, and I was working through my editing and doing some things. and made a few more videos that I thought, okay, yeah, these are, I just took it up a step. These videos are better than the ones I just did. I still think they are, but better than the ones I just did. And then they kind of flopped. It was 100 views, 150 views. They may have gone up a little bit now, but it was discouraging for the moment, to kind of figure that out. And there were some weird things going on that I've learned a little bit more about. Some views would have 0 for a while. And I think in part there are certain, factors that go into that when you're getting views or when you're making this content. We may dive more into detail on some of that stuff later on. But what really I think turned the table for me is I really started doing a lot of research into like doing my own searches. So whereas my TikTok feed, which was all new to me as of last week, to start with was kind of, all these things you see, you hear about, it's the girls dancing or whatever, very generic, like, hey, this is your age group, or this is, what we think people like you would be interested in. And I started shifting that a lot. I started following a ton of lawyers, the ones that had really created something in the space more than just, like regular videos, but they had actually gotten some traction with it, and it had some videos that took off. I searched North Carolina. We'll maybe touch on this a little more. There were 2 people that I found in North Carolina who had some success in the lawyer market. But that's it. I mean, that's really it. I'm not saying there's not more lawyers on TikTok. There certainly are. But in terms of doing legal related videos, that's really the only 2 that I could find in the entire state of North Carolina. So you kind of get the idea. Look, this is a blank space. We really didn't know, still don't really know what the ultimate goal of TikTok is. And we both created these with our offices in mind. Mine is Charlotte related. I've got some Charlotte pictures. I'm using Charlotte hashtags, and Brian has been doing the same thing with Asheville. But it's interesting. Everybody has a different style. Which is, I think, part of the beauty of it too. There's no 2 lawyer posts that are the same. I say this, my research did all this, but also I put a video of my kids up there that kind of took off, and has since kind of refined some of my legal related videos. And it's looking up. It's trending up for sure. I'm up to, I think, close to 400 followers. My views are probably approaching 10,000 total views, maybe already there. I'm guessing
certainly over
that. No, not
in likes.
In likes. Yeah, sorry, likes, not views. 10,000 likes. Yeah, a couple videos over 10,000 views, but over 10,000 likes, which is some sort of metric that TikTok uses of what relevance there is. But we've had fun with it in the office. It has definitely been a big morale boost around here, and people are following, our videos in the office. And then, I think it's at least some level of branding. We'll see how that plays out and if any clients come from it. But
yeah, I was really impressed the way that over the week how quickly the learning curve is on that. I think that one of the things that just was shocking to me, my social media content has always been through LinkedIn, and you probably, if you were putting a scale of social media across a continuum, LinkedIn would be about as far away from TikTok as you could get. So I linked one of my TikToks to a LinkedIn post, and it turned out to be the biggest LinkedIn post that I've ever done. And I think that there's some intrigue there. I think there's some, because obviously my LinkedIn is very professional based, tends to aim for young attorneys that we would consider an opportunity to recruit. That's what I spend my time doing. And I was just blown away with the response that TikTok and that LinkedIn kind of twist became. And I think that what you realize is what you're doing is kind of connecting with people on a very basic level of just like, hey, here's their firm, here's sort of their talk. I mean, without without even knowing Frank, if you watch his TikTok, you're going to realize like he's kind of in it with you with interactions with law enforcement. And it's kind of a wink, wink kind of thing where it's like, hey, these are what your rights are, but we're here on your side, not trying to hit them over the head with information. The TikTok that I've been doing has been based on kind of using a client call kind of concept of all the mistakes that our clients tend to make during or before representation begins. The hope process is that at some point you get that moment of like, hey, and I remember my daughter, who is 15 and squarely in the TikTok level, watched one of Frank's videos, and to my absolute chagrin, absolutely loved it. Put pause on it and said, I never knew that. I would have thought all those facts are true, that you should try to cooperate with police for a better result and these things. It was really telling to me the amount of information she was drawing from what was probably a 30-second video, and how quickly she was able to consume it. For us old guys, TikTok hits you like waves, and it's hard to even know what's going on. It's a chuckle here or there, but I do believe that it's driving some content, and it quickly allowed me to understand. I see how a situation comes and say to the point where you say, well, that's my lawyer on TikTok. And I think that that's what we see. And I think that's where some level of the monetization of TikTok's going to be. Of course, we're at a huge advantage over most TikTokers. I don't know if that's the right noun or not, but we're not trying to make money off of the content of it. What we're trying to do is right now we're experimenting on how do we connect with clients. And you clearly have done that. Think about since 2002, what King Law has paid in advertising. I don't know if I ever remember an advertising that we've done that I could say, here's 10,000 sets of eyes that have seen something on content. And, you're able to do that for the price of a little bit of time and a ring light of $20. So that's a pretty impressive kind of situation.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And I know this series, we are really focusing on, the marketing aspect, building offices, very much so that this is a business, and that running a law firm is a business. But, when you have some of these moments in these TikToks, and it's the simplest things, you could talk to 1,000 criminal lawyers and ask them, do you advise your clients ever to talk to the police in any situation? 1,000 out of 1,000 are going to say no, or very limited situations. But what's so interesting about TikTok is you're reaching billions of people. I'm not reaching billions of people, but the lawyers that are there in the space, kind of when you talk about, across the United States, across the world, these concepts that are foreign to them, you have raised your daughter for 15 years and she had no idea this kind of universally accepted lawyer concept. There's a part of this that's in your mind. You think, TikTok could change the way that law enforcement works. It could change the way that, which is not possible even with Facebook or what, even if you're reaching the people that are right in your circle, you can change that, but you don't have this, outer grasp. And that's part of the problem with it from a marketing standpoint, but really part of the really cool part about it when you break it down from hey, this is why I wanted to be a lawyer, protecting people's rights, doing these things. You get some of that feeling with it, or at least I have. Now, that said, the way that we're getting there is, and I've developed developing a formula that I've found that's been working for me, which is very different from what a lot of people do. But that's a more, look, anybody that's watching this, I urge you to try it. You'll have fun with it for a while. It does take time. We've talked before about getting up early and getting a start, and I know work pretty much the whole time that you're awake. you know, it is some time out of that day. You know, it's 2, 3 hours a day that I'm spending dealing with this, but it's probably the funnest 2 or 3 hours of my day that I've had, you know, for the last little bit. And I think that time will go down as I develop. But, you know, you're developing styles, you're developing how you want to make these videos. You know, there's a lot of learning to it that I think is applicable to other areas, marketing generally. What do people want right now? What are they consuming? What do they like? You know, in what format is that? And, you know, there's been a lot of that. TikTok has even changed some on that. You know, I think initially, from what I understand, I wasn't on TikTok, but kind of in, you know, your 2020 kind of era of TikTok was very much 15 seconds or less. Now TikTok has kind of shifted that focus into longer videos some. So, you know, what the algorithm is going to pick up, you know, what's that right wiggle room, you know, what's that space that you want to be in? You know, all those questions are interesting, but I found some success with videos, sound-based videos, caption-based videos that are very simple concepts, legal concepts that work through. And then on top of that, responding to comments that happen from that, which is not a luxury that you have when you're building that. You have to get some traction first. But when people are interacting with your videos, just responding to them interacting with your videos is another way to drive content. And I've found for me that a lot of my videos that I wrote out or, you know, planned out, what I wanted to say in those, they come off pretty scripted. When it's a song and those, you know, ideas pop on the screen, it's much more, it's simplified and it's easy to absorb. And then when you get the responses, you're really able to speak more freely because you're responding to a specific topic or question. And I think that people can tell that when they're watching the videos. But it's a fascinating space and one that, you know, I'm all in on right now. You know, I talk back next week, the week after. I know it'll, you know, we don't want to touch on it or make it a big part every week, but I think the way this process goes is very interesting to me. And you know, I think we'll find out what we see in terms of a client benefit, or branding benefit, or, you know, whatever those kind of positive consequences might be.
I think we're going to go do some TikToks. Right now, I mean, apparently Frank tells me you can change the name of your TikTok once a month. Mine is currently King Law Asheville. Check it out. It's a crazy space if you've never been on TikTok. Of course, I mean, I think TikTok ought to pay me some money just because I've gotten some old lawyers across the country that are friends of mine through other ones to go on TikTok, and they are shocked. They had no idea what TikTok was. I feel like it's probably in its infancy in terms of what kind of changes it will be. Of course, in that kind of media, things can change, you know, dramatically. I mean, if somebody said, "Well, TikTok won't exist in a year," I don't think that would be shocking to either one of us. You know, but at the same time, if they said, like, "Look, it's going to be bigger than Google in a year," that also probably wouldn't be that shocking with what we're seeing in the people who they're tapping. Either way, it's a fascinating place, and I think that it's a space that we're really interested in doing. That this challenge really kind of helped out. The office has really gotten behind. It's been a great team builder, and I love the fact that you're able to bring your family into it because there's very little in law that you're able to bring family and other people in and people to be able to see it. And I've noticed that. I mean, you know, whether it's just my mom or my brother, my sister, all in different towns, you know, kind of laughing at me, which is a good bit of what TikTok is putting yourself out there to kind of get laughed at, or, you know, in the office where they've helped me do some videos, they've appeared in some videos. Those are the kind of things that I think this challenge was about. It certainly has taken us in a whole different direction, and I'm really pumped up about it. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah, there's definitely a humanizing element to it. I think a lot of people, even the way that people, this might come across wrong, but people have very little filter with what, you know, they feel like they can say things to us, whether that be negative, positive, whatever, that they probably wouldn't feel like they could say at, you know, McDonald's or whatever it is. There's just a boldness about it that because of our profession and sometimes the reputation that comes with it. I think it's easy to dehumanize lawyers. Sometimes that even happens when we are dealing with lawyers or other lawyers on cases. And it's at least a way to kind of push on that, kind of as we move into next week. And we are going to try to make an effort to keep these a little bit shorter too. But as we move into next week, I have been on the search. Brian knows I've been updating him. I touched on a little bit these two lawyers that are in North Carolina who have a substantial following. I've been trying to track them down. And as you know, last night I finally made contact with one of them who sounds like a fantastic young attorney out of the western part of the state. I'm trying to remember exactly what county it's in, around the Chapel Hill, Durham, Raleigh area, Triangle area. I'm not sure what all those counties are, but I'm hoping that we may have a little content from her. And trust me, if when we get there, we'll have an opportunity to maybe share some of those TikToks too. But she's fascinating and has really conquered this space already. I think over 80, 90,000 followers on TikTok, and has already told me that she's getting a substantial amount of clients from TikTok too, which is a really, really incredible story. It's an incredible piece of this puzzle, one that we haven't cracked obviously yet in our week and a half. But I think that could show a lot of you, anybody listening, and us too, a solid lesson about what might be possible with this medium. And I'm hoping that we'll have more of an update there next week. Charlotte, planning still going good. Had a meeting with my team on Friday last week, planning to do that again tomorrow. And we've put some balls in place, and they're moving down the track that I think will pretty soon conquer Brian's little Asheville army. And we've also agreed to add TikTok as an objective, measurable objective to our challenge also, which has already put Brian pretty squarely behind the 8 ball again. So.
Crazy. I'm 4 days into it and I feel like I'm already defeated. That's how much work Frank's done. I can tell you right now, I've got a secret weapon that is coming that I'm hoping to be able to make an announcement of, that's going to really blow Frank out of the water. It's going to be an interesting week in the challenge. So we'll see you next week.